Welcome to the Momentum Ministry Partners podcast. This podcast is designed to provide momentum in our God-given roles of leadership as we partner together to equip today's Christian leaders for tomorrow's opportunities. Whether you're a pastor, youth leader, ministry volunteer, parent, or student, we want to be your go-to and most trusted resource for equipping and encouragement when it comes to your ministry and leadership influence. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Hello and welcome to the Momentum Ministry Partners podcast. My name's Eric, and today we have with us Jared Stewart from Video Game Ministries. So Jared, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Dude, I love the story of how we got connected. There's this new thing called the internet, and you can search on Google and find... Oh man, I love it. So bro, it's we literally met like a week ago.
Yep.
We're on a Zoom call and I'm like, we got to get you on the podcast. And so here we are. So Jared, tell us a little bit about yourself to our listeners. You can check out videogameministries.com. You have a Video Game Ministries on YouTube.
Yep.
I watched your stream from literally last night and was amazed at conversations you're having with students and the devotional that you gave. And you're leveraging video games in a way that helps make Jesus make sense, which here at Momentum Ministry Partners, we're passionate about. But I don't want to take it all from you. Share a little bit about who you are, your story, and just how you got started in this whole world of video game ministries.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm Jared. I've been married for 6 years. My wife, Katie, and I have, we got married on May the 4th. So
Nice.
I'm a big Star Wars fan. So I've convinced her through marriage that she's also now a huge Star Wars fan. We have 3 nuggets, 3 and under. So we have a very, very busy household. Callie, Mila, and Luca. They are the so much of them are the why and the joy of so many things. Like parenthood has changed everything. This is not a parenthood conversation. I am a 3.5-year experienced dad. I have zero parenting advice to give other than it's awesome. Do it.
Yes.
And then talk to people who have been doing it for a lot
Further.
longer than me.
Yeah. Further out.
Yeah. I'd probably say we like the whole, a lot of little kids, but space them out. Not bad. I don't know. I only know what I know. I started Video Game Ministries because of the fact that I love video games. I mean, I've been playing video games since almost the beginning, right? Like I'm actually, believe it or not, based on my YouTube channel, you may or may not know this, I'm actually a huge Pokemon fan. Okay. And I actually, I look at Game Freak and Nintendo and all of that, and I'm like, man, you got me. I am your target audience, because when Pokemon came out in 95 or 94 or something like that, I was the perfect impressionable kid. And so, dude, it gripped me, and I'm looking behind. I've got a shelf over there with Pokemon cards. I got my Switch behind me, just locked into Pokemon, even though we stream a lot more Fortnite. So that kind of, I was the kid growing up that even though I loved soccer, and I still love soccer. If I would rather be fishing or soccer or playing soccer, but I do like video games. My brothers would beg me, Jared, come out inside, play. We have even teams when you're with us. I'm like, sorry guys, I want to play Pokemon. I'm about to beat the Elite Four, so that was always me. I just always loved that about video games. So one of the big factors that got me thinking, I was a youth pastor at Christ Fellowship. I did a couple things there: kids, youth, young adults, even missions a little bit, but mostly a kids pastor or a youth pastor. And I remember I got put at one of our campuses called Christ Fellowship en Espanol, and I am very much a gringo. I think there's a touch of Puerto Rican in me, but definitely kind of Midwest. I'd say corn-fed. Un poquito.
Okay.
My wife is from Peru, so I have to be able to understand. Otherwise, all the in-laws when they come over, they're actually really good about speaking English when I'm around. But no, I've had many a moments where I'm like, okay, I understood what you're saying, but there's a lot that I missed.
Yeah.
So bits and pieces. Um, but yeah, so really an interesting pick for this particular role. So as a youth pastor, we all know that we're always trying to look for different common ground with our students, because we know that when we get on their level, so to speak, we're no longer the mid to late 20-year-old looking down on them from a platform, beating them over the head with the Bible, but rather, hey, we're maybe not the friend, but we are someone who does care enough to, you know,
Yep.
whatever that activity may be. And so I had a bunch of students who just loved Fortnite, and they finally convinced me. And I remember I played on my phone, and my audio was terrible for them, but I was talking to them. I'm like, this is so cool, right? You
Mm,
guys are insane at the game. I'm sitting back doing very little, but I'm at least connecting with my students. And
yeah.
those are students that still pop into our live stream just to say, hey, man, cheering you on, keep going. This is awesome, which
Fun.
is like the most wild thing possible. Um, so but the okay, so this is the interesting, the reason why I bring Christ Fellowship and Espanol into this is because those students are also the ones that I trusted. I gave them a microphone, right? So lead games, do this, do that, no big
Mm,
deal, I trust you. When we played video games, they said certain words in Spanish that I'm not going to say here. And I remember having very clear conversations like,
uh,
guys, you're not going to pull one over the gringo's eyes, because the
yeah.
first words I studied in Spanish were the ones you're saying right now. And I'm pretty sure that you don't want me sending a message or an email to Abuelita saying, hey, guess what so and so said? What does
Right.
this mean? And then they cleaned up their act, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of got this narrative spinning. I'm like, man,
Mm,
video games are huge for community. They're ginormously popular, and they're the wild, wild west. There's no sheriff in town when it comes to video games. Like,
yeah.
there's nothing. The only thing that there is are all of these big gigantic streamers who've got millions and millions of followers. And when I started watching them, asking like, who are you watching? They told me. I watched their videos, and I stopped about a minute in because I was like, I can't even listen to this based
Mm,
on what's being said. And it
yeah.
all just kind of clicked, right? And I realized that the popularity of video games is on the rise and will be so much bigger than it is already now, based on so many projections by Forbes and all
Mm,
these different research organizations. But it's like, I think 10, 15, well, I'd say probably 15, 20 years ago, when I was in a student ministry, who were my influences and who did my pastor speak like, listen, let's try to lean into the Tony Dungys, let's try to lean into the Emmett Smiths, let's try to lean
yeah.
into these Christian sports athletes,
Mhm.
because those are the better examples. Even though I was like, yeah, but like Michael Jordan's, Kobe Bryant is whatever, whoever it is. It's like, well, they're the better ones. I don't really care
Right.
what they say. I want to watch them play ball. So
Yeah.
it just kind of ended up, I guess I just realized that, man, there needs to be so much more significance that the church puts into this
Mm,
$400 billion industry.
mm,
So
mm. I love it.
yeah,
Here we are. Here we are. Video Game Ministries. Dude,
sir.
so tell us a little bit about like just you started to tease out some of those stats, but like what
Mhm.
is, because we probably have in the Momentum family here, we have senior pastors, youth pastors, all kinds of what we would call ministry professionals who maybe aren't gamers, maybe they're not, they just Googled Fortnite to look up what that was because they're not aware, and that's okay. But I, honestly, like when you think of the landscape of video games, and you're talking about the stats are on the rise, and it's a big deal. Even last week when we were talking on Zoom, and we'll share some of this later. But you're going to be coming to Momentum Youth Conference this summer,
Hmm.
and we're super hyped about that. But what is the trajectory that you're seeing take place when it comes to video games? Because the video games that most of our audience are thinking about is like Legends of Zelda, or they're like, yeah, I play chess on the computer against the computer. So help us,
Right.
like, bring us up to speed. I'm teasing some people. I know you know what whatever, you know what other video games are.
Oh yeah. Well, I think there's probably two ways to look at it. It will either grow tremendously till it's out of control, or there's other theories and other people I talk to that the internet's going to crash and people are going to go back to simplistic life. That not even getting there. I don't think that's
Sure.
even remotely close.
Yeah.
Current projections based on the rise over the past 5-6 years puts the industry almost double what it is right now.
Hmm.
The biggest stat that justifies anything that I will ever do in this area is the One Hope did a report, their Gen Alpha report this year, and I think their Gen Z report, the number was a little bit lower but similar. But of Gen Alpha, 90% of Gen Alpha in the United States play video games for an average of an hour and 38 minutes a day.
Mm.
And to me, that that eliminates the conversation that any parent might, or any pastor or anyone might want to have, and say, well, video games are bad. I'm like, well, guess what? The parents are letting them play. So
Yeah.
you can stand your ground and say they're bad and go against it, or you can seek to understand and look to leverage it and resource through it.
Mm.
And that to me is all I need to know. If you
Yep.
if your kids don't play video games, great. Fantastic. I
Yeah.
don't have a problem with that. I encourage that. As a ministry, we always side with the parent. So whatever the parent says is what we say as well, whether it's video games or no video games. We're video game ministries. We're always going to side with the parent.
Mhm.
Um, but to me, that's just one of the biggest things. And then when you look at the substance of what's actually happening within the video game, we have got a bunch of after school programs, which means I'm on school campuses just about every day of the week, meeting different kids before the club. And oh wait, you spoke at that chapel, you do this, add me on Fortnite. Okay, so I've got way too many friends in Fortnite. That's not a flex, that's actually a burden, because you get invited all the time and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
um and more often than not, I see within the game, I look at their lobby and I see 5 people together in a lobby, and I know that this name is attached to this person. And I'm
Mhm.
like, they're not even, and you can see within Fortnite anyway, you can see if they're playing a game or not. And
Mm.
there's so many times when I scroll through and I just see in lobby,
Mm.
which means they're in lobby with 5 to 6 people and they're just talking. So video games have become a place of connection, whether you're actually playing a game or not playing a game, which
Mm.
tells me, just from even my own, call it research or just experience, video games aren't going anywhere and they're only going to increase. And there are there's esports arenas being opened up. There's other gaming ministries and streamers, Christian
Mm.
streamers, that are opening up, and there's only more that is going to happen. There's only more growth that's going to happen, especially as Christians kind of latch on to this idea. They're not going anywhere. So, as the church, as
Mm.
Christians, what do we do? And that's
Yeah.
a lot of what we seek to answer.
That's so good. All right, so go there. Tell us a little bit about what's the mission, vision, kind of core values, even behind your ministry. What would you say, even for video game ministries, is a win?
Sure. Yeah, I think holistically, our mission is to make disciples of all gamers, right? So straight out of the Great Commission, go and make
Love
disciples
it.
of all nations. Nations. I remember I had a conversation with this guy, and he was older than me, wiser than me, and I was trying to sound super cool. And I was like, I went into the Greek of nations, and it's ethnos, but I said ethnos, just didn't know how to pronounce it because I never
Yeah.
looked into how to. And he responds back to me like, "Oh yes, I'm very aware of nations as ethnos," and he said it like all perfect, and I'm like, "Oh boy, I've never felt more deflated in my life." Just kidding. We'll have a conversation later when I'm smarter.
Yeah.
Um, so I remember reading that, and that really started to frame things. The way I look at the Great Commission is I look at the word nations with with a blank. What
Mm.
is my ethnos? What am I called to? Who am I called to reach? And I think every single person needs to truly assess that, because
Mm.
I think it will help to narrow and focus ministry. And I'd even suggest make it even more enjoyable, because
Mm.
you have your own personal mission. My wife's ethnos is different than mine, and my kids will be different than mine, and so on.
Yeah.
So that's how I frame video
Mm.
game ministries. And I'd even say the name video game ministries is intentionally large and vague, uh,
Mm.
to an extent, so that there's so many different things that can fit under that.
Yeah.
So I put video game ministries in, probably right now, three different tiers. One, we have our YouTube live stream, which you watched last night. That is our way. That's ours. That's uniquely ours. That's what we do. That's our thing. Other people do that. I'm not saying that we're
Yeah.
the only ones, but that is a video game ministries, our culture, our VGM army rules. That's us. How
Love
we
it.
do what we do, all of that. That's an open invite to anyone. We want anyone and everyone to come and join that. Um, as it actually, I believe it helps out our second tier of what we do, and that's resourcing and helping and equipping and consulting and working with different churches.
Mm.
We have, our live stream, to me, is a place that a youth pastor can say, hey, check this out. This is for you. If you play Fortnite, if you game, it's a great community for you to be a part of. It
Yeah.
doesn't cost anything. It's just something that we do that I hope will be an arrow in the quiver of that particular youth pastor, or even kids
Mm.
pastor. We're just here. We're doing this.
Yeah.
We're using our time, our resources to put this on. If you want to send your students, great. If you don't,
Mm.
well, I don't know. Send your
Yeah.
students. And then finally, I would just put like a bucket or a tier of what we do, to other Christian entities of sorts, providing video game more services. We've got after school clubs at a couple different schools, seven different
Mm.
schools down here in South Florida. We've got a few different partners that they're like, hey, we really want something engaging for the kids. Great. We'll go in and basically be the fun babysitters for um, your walkthrough, your tour, your whatever
Yeah.
that you're doing, um, and so on. So that's a lot of what we look to do. Doesn't really answer the core values question. I think the core values are not something that I've personally fleshed out necessarily, but I think they
Mm.
align with, I'd say, what a church does. I think we
Yeah.
just are looking to serve as best as we can,
Yeah.
and keep things very, at least from a theological perspective, very spinal. Like, this is our spine.
Yep.
We're happy to work with anyone and keep things spine,
Mm.
so we can serve
Mm.
anyone and everyone.
Jared, I love it because you're reframing even discipleship. Um, I was a youth pastor for a long time, and I had like at times where we'd have adult volunteers that are like, yeah, we want to be here, we want to be present, we want to engage in the student ministry. How do we do that? And my number one thing is I was always like, I want you to disciple these students. You should know them. You should hold them accountable for things. You should engage in their life biblically, and you should meet with them consistently, right? That was kind of the framework that we gave them. And so there were times where I'd ask like my adult leaders, hey, how have you been discipling the students? And this literally happened. I'm not making this up. One guy goes, oh, we were playing video games together online. We were playing like Halo or something back then. And I'm
Nice.
like, okay. Now as a youth pastor, I paused and I'm
Mhm.
like, uh, is that discipleship? Like, and so I asked him, I'm like, well, what'd you talk about? And he's like, we're just playing video games. I'm like, that was a hurdle for me to overcome.
Sure.
I'm admitting this, right? But that's part of why I want to plug this all day long, because I watched your stream. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched like the first hour, and you're literally having spiritual conversation with students. This kid joined. He's said he was Jehovah's Witness. I'm filling in the blanks. I couldn't hear the other side
Sure.
of it, but I could hear what you were talking about. And I know that's intentional and how you do all that. But I'm like, I was so impressed, Jared, with like you're engaging in spiritual conversation. You gave a devotional. These students are engaging. They're inviting their friends to be a part of that. It was refreshing. It was really cool to be able to see you're actually doing what you say you want to do. And
Hmm.
so I was delighted to see that happen. Um, Talk a little bit more about that. Like how are you intentionally discipling students? You even introduced yourself. I'm the video game pastor. I love that. Like everything that you're doing seems to be mindful and with purpose and passion to point students to Jesus. So how have you gone about doing that? Even like in that first tier that you were talking about, like on your live stream, as students are engaging, they're paying attention, they're locked in, they're having fun watching you play video games or other people play video games. How are you intentionally handling discipleship through that process?
Yeah. Uh, Such a great question. And I appreciate everything that you said. Insanely kind. And, unfortunately, because we are technically a ministry that can be for anyone, primarily kids and youth, I don't hear it from an
Mm,
external, like adult voice. So I'm very, very
Sure.
grateful. We get a
Good.
ton of kids who are there and they don't say a word. And you're like, sometimes you're like,
Yeah.
is this good? We doing all right? Um, no, so I think a lot of the a lot of the secret sauce, and this just goes for ministry in general, is consistency. Y-
Mm.
If you think that you're going to get through to a middle schooler in a week, oh my
Good
goodness,
luck.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness. If you do, please get on this, replace me on this podcast and tell the
Write
world,
that
right?
book. Yes.
Write that book, tell everyone. So I think a big part of it is committing to consistency.
Mm.
It's showing up. We're there on that level, and we are enforcing. And I think that's the other part. It's don't let up on your enforcement of the culture that you set, right? So one of the first things we did, and I completely stole this and contextualized from my church, Christ Fellowship, and they tell me to. They tell anyone to,
Yeah.
but we took their house rules and adjusted them to our YouTube context, and we said, this is who we are. This is what we do. We are
Mm.
people bringers. That's what happened last night. We got to speak to this kid who was a Jehovah's Witness because someone from our community brought him in. We are let's see, we say everyone invites, and one, Jesus is better. Okay, so let's stop there. Everything we do,
Mm.
everything that we say, the culture in which we infuse starts and ends with that one right there. Jesus is better than anything and everything. We speak
Yeah.
highly. That's one of my favorites because video games oftentimes are toxic. They are perceived that way, seen that way, and kids get grounded, I think, more often than not because of their toxic behavior on a video game.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many examples. Even when I was playing video games, I'm not going there. You probably know from Halo the things you could do when you eliminated someone, right? So
Yes.
it's like it's all that kind of stuff. There's even emotes now, like that you can emote being a random dance you can do.
Mm.
Apparently, I'm not even going there
Yeah.
again. Just like stop, stop. Don't be too. You can't be too. You got to be a Fortnite nerd, but you can't go too far
Yeah.
into it.
Uh,
Um, but it's the culture that we set. We speak highly, so it's automatically. I had to change this for myself, but there was a random free emote that you got, right, and it's some hand motion, but what
mm.
comes up is GGWP, which stands for good game well played.
Mm.
And so anytime we win, that's the first emote that I throw up.
Yeah.
If I eliminate someone and it was a good battle, I throw that emote up because there's like a 10-second moment where they're actually spectating you before they leave and rejoin another game. So that's the best communication I can have with, Star Killer 73. So
Yeah.
good game, well played, right? It's a culture thing and it starts
Mm.
here,
Yep.
right? So it starts with
Yep.
me. I'm the one on camera. I don't really
Mm.
want to be all the time, but I'm the one on camera.
Yep.
So if I'm not carrying the culture through, it's not going to pass down to the others. So I get called
Mm.
out. One of our
Mm.
rules is we play together. Okay. So Ecclesiastes 6:12, 3:12. Now I'm mixing up my 3 and 12. A cord of
Okay.
3 strands is not easily broken.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Um, and so we play together. One of it was just kind of frustration because when you drop in with 4 people and they go off in different directions, if I get eliminated, I'm sitting there spectating. And I'm like, I don't actually play video games a lot. So when I get eliminated, I want like when I'm here to play, I want to play. Like,
Yeah.
so if we all play together, there's a good chance that we all survive together and we all win together. So created this rule, this culture around
Mm.
playing together to the point where one of our kids, who happens to be from California, like couldn't be further away,
Mm.
when he plays with some of his friends, he says, remember what the VG pastor says, we play together, and they tighten up as a squad and play together. And he told me that. And I'm like, that's
That's
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
So I get called out because I've gotten better. So I can kind of hold my own a little bit. So when I veer off, they're like, Jared, where are you going? What are we saying? I'm like, oh, but I'm bored. I want to go fight somebody. So it's like, but it does. It all starts from here. And then it's a
Yeah.
constant enforcement. It's not being afraid to have the conversation, trying
Mm.
to find a way to not have the conversation with someone who might have,
Mm.
severely breached the rule in a public setting. It's difficult because you're live streaming at all times, but
Yep.
having that conversation and not being afraid to, for lack of better words, discipline in a sense, or call up
Mm.
even on a YouTube channel.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think that answers some of the question.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right, let's go a little bit deeper kind of in this direction. Like for pastors, for parents, maybe for adults who mean well, they're well intentioned, they want to leverage these things. They know they have gamers in their church, in their student ministry. Help us understand what are some of the misunderstandings about video games, about even the culture that students are engaged in when it comes to video games.
Right. Well, they're not from Satan. Okay. Other than maybe
Okay.
GTA.
Yeah.
GTA is
Yeah. Grand
wild.
Theft Auto.
We're not sorry. You're right. Grand
Yep.
Theft Auto. Yes.
Yep.
They
It's a video game.
are. It's a video game, and it is exactly as the name suggests. It is you succeed in the game when you commit crimes. It's the craziest thing, and it's so popular.
Mhm.
I actually have a friend who's looking to build a church in GTA. So,
Okay.
okay, that's interesting. Go do it. I'm not going
Yeah.
to, but I think that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
There's still a community there, right? That's the thing. It's like
Sure.
even a game like GTA maybe is not going to be a part of video game ministries in our culture and our DNA and what we do, but it's like there's still a community. There's still people that need to be there,
Yep.
right? Go and make disciples of all GTA players. It's a thing.
There you go.
So for I got off.
Yeah.
I ranted.
Misunderstandings.
Misunderstandings. Thank you.
Yeah.
So oftentimes the misunderstandings that I find more come from what people don't know.
Mm.
So what they misunderstand are oftentimes the things that parents and pastors need to correct or discipline, because the only things that they see are the behavior that they want to change. So, and that happens. That happens in
For
anything, though,
sure. For
right?
sure.
What am I yelling from the sidelines when the referee is just absolutely terrible, right? I'm not applauding him for the good calls. I'm pointing out his bad calls, right? We all do that. So I think that oftentimes is what happens in this area. They see behavior that they want to fix and they know where it comes from. And so naturally that ends up making video games bad because it
Mm.
taught my kid this or did that. But we're completely lacking the intentionality to see all of the other stuff that are happening that are actually good or positive or just maybe neutral. It just kind of
Mm.
is what it is. It's not bad. It's good. It just is there.
Mm.
So I think that's one of the misunderstandings is maybe just kind of an overall lack of understanding of what's good about video games. I think so. Then kind of to open that up, video games are a community. It's like the example I gave before of kids who will just sit there in the video game and hang out. They might not even
Mhm.
play the video game, um, but they choose to hang out and spend time. And then think about it this way: video games present an opportunity for you to have fun and collaborate with your friends on something, with some sort of mutual goal.
Yep.
It is. We haven't even
Yep.
gotten into esports yet, but there is a. If I'm totally okay with my kid going to the park and playing soccer with their
Mm.
friends, video games are very, very similar. Obviously, there's a difference in activity levels, and that's a physical health is a completely different conversation. But within reason and within margin, I would believe that there's nothing wrong with that video game when I understand it in the right lens, when I understand what's actually happening,
Yep.
when I understand every single kid that my child is playing with, when I know when I know that I always use the same example. King Crafter is actually Landon, and I
Mm.
know that so and so is actually Kanan. Or if when I know that for sure, then I can be a little bit more comfortable because, oh, he's playing with him. I've got mom's cell phone number saved in my favorites list so I can text her at any time. Oh,
Yep.
wait, someone new popped into their lobby. Who's that? Okay, they're playing with Kanan. Let me text Kanan's mom. Okay, it's actually Kanan's cousin. We good? We good? We're good, right?
Yep.
I don't know, but I don't think there's that level of intentionality that happens,
Mm.
which oftentimes leads to behavioral issues because when we let the kid have something as powerful as a video game, well, they're going to take it and go far. It's like would you give your child the keys to
Mm.
your car?
Right.
No, no, it's just a temptation,
Yeah.
but I might let my child drive my ride on tractor, like just to ride on mower,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
We'll start there, and I think that's with being monitored and intentional and teaching and all of that.
Mhm.
So I think there's a level of intentionality that's
Mm.
missed, and I
Mm.
think that's the biggest cause of a majority of
Mm.
misunderstandings within video games.
So if you're a parent, and you know that your teenagers, your students love playing video games and they want the next best video game, whatever it is, um, give the parents maybe who are listening in on this conversation, give them a pointer in how to engage in that. Obviously, some I could see some dads like, let me hop in here and play, and but like help them engage spiritually in that discipleship role, or
Hmm.
even for the youth pastors, the youth leaders who they're hanging out in the lobby at church and before student ministry starts, and they're watching the kids play video games, but they don't know anything about this game. Like how can they navigate those conversations to try to enter into that when they're not necessarily playing in the lobby with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I feel like a perfect answer. I took a parent on a journey one time. They we started esports and some clubs at a local Christian school. One of the parents works on staff, the other one doesn't, but has a really cool ministry. And their kids really wanted to join, and they were very
Fun.
hesitant. And so
Yeah.
finally, dad and I remember like I get like these weird side eyes from them because they're like their parents, the kids really wanted to join, but they're like screen free and no video games. I'm like, that's
Mhm.
fine. Again,
Yep.
side with
Yep.
parents. Finally, I think somehow, some way, their family won a Nintendo Switch, and so it's like by random dumb luck, they had to introduce video games to their family. Like it was the funniest thing when
Oh,
I
that's
finally
funny.
heard that story backwards. Um, and so the dad comes up to me and says, how do you do this? And I
Yeah.
said, well, what video games are you playing? And he explains to me all of these super cool details about they're playing The Legend of Zelda, the newest one for the Switch.
Nice.
And then he actually got so passionate talking about it. He told me about whatever video game he used to play in the 90s or something. I was like, to be honest, like if he listens, I did not know what game you're
I don't
talking
know what.
about. That one was before my time, brother. Um,
Call
but
Eric.
yeah, exactly. So what happened was though, is I'm just listening to him explain the different facets of the game. I then took, and I don't remember at the moment, but I took what he was saying and just added spiritual components to it because I was listening with that set of ears on. And so he was
good.
like, oh. So
Yep.
it's like, okay, so you need a strategy, right? Okay, well, you need a strategy when you're sharing a gospel with your coworker. So, make it fit. This was really difficult. You had to work really hard to unlock this level, right? That took perseverance. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials and temptations of many kind, the developing perseverance, blah, 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 blah. James
Yeah.
1:2-4. So it's
Yep.
like, I remember when I was working at Christ Fellowship, I often got to drive around some of the special guests that we brought in. And there's one guy that we brought in that, he was leaving and he had one more day to stay after he preached at the church. And he wanted to go see a movie. So we all went and saw the first newest Jurassic Park series movie.
Okay.
I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Not the original three, but
Original,
whatever. Jurassic World.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one moment, and I wish I knew. I got to watch it back and get the exact quote for another podcast. But something about something that was said in that moment was super spiritual. And he goes out loud, which I disagree in a movie. Don't do this, but he did it. He says, "That'll preach." And I went, oh, it will preach.
Huh.
And I got thinking, like, how cool is it that a professional preacher, speaker, pastor always has his spiritual filter on, looking
Yeah.
for any example to turn towards the gospel.
Mhm.
And so that has resonated with me for, I think, 10, 15 years. And so that's a lot of times what I would just challenge a parent to do for video games. But here's
Yeah.
the catch. You got to know about the video game. You got to know enough, right? You got to fake it till you make it. Goodness gracious. I don't know what you feel about AI, but Chat GPT, give me 5 spiritual lessons from Legend of Zelda. Give me 5, just something like that.
Yes.
And I believe little things like that are going to help reshape and reframe your kids' thinking to have that spiritual lens about the games that they play. Because so many games are so intuitive that it just takes an adult pastoral Christian mind to help that kid see it, and then you're cooking.
That's awesome. I love it because I think what you're helping us understand is when you're intentional with students and you actually care about them as a person and not the behavior modification like you were talking about earlier, but you want the heart change. And then when you begin to engage and ask questions and show a desire to learn, when you put in some effort to like Google or go on AI and ChatGPT to learn about the game, or then even ask them good questions like, hey, tell me about this. What is this game about? Why do you like it? Like, you're engaging them, which means that you care about them. Now you're getting somewhere with the discipleship. Now you're moving the needle in that regard. So good.
I remember as a kids pastor, I called him today. One of my best friends, what solidified to him, me as his child's kids pastor, was I went to one soccer game. That's it. I went to one soccer game. So I took a random Tuesday evening at 5:30 to go watch this kid run around and put on the most terrible soccer game. No, he did fine, but
Sure.
I'm an enthusiast, so I watched the best of the best. No, but like, that's it. I got there late. Like, I was late. But I was there and I took a picture and I think I posted on my Instagram on my story or something like that. And that solidified our friendship because you care about my kid. I want you to baptize my son. And I got to do that. Right.
Sweet.
So I think in the same way that every pastor and every dad and every parent wants to be there for their kid. I mean, you brought them into this world. That's your responsibility, parent. Right. So it's like, how can we do our best? I would say, I think my dad is one of the best examples out there. He played he played college basketball, college baseball, and he saw that his sons, though athletic and talented, we were aggressively short for basketball and afraid of a baseball, and it just didn't catch on. So
Mm.
he now is, I would argue I'm more of a fan, but he is more of a fan of soccer than anyone else in my family, because for whatever reason,
Mm.
my family took to soccer. Like, I've got two
Mm.
brothers who played collegiately, not me.
Nice.
Yikes. We'll get into insecurities later.
There you go.
But it's like my dad just took that. He tried to play Halo with us. I mean, this was my dad playing Halo up in the corner. Like, he couldn't, the math wasn't mathing, you know?
Yeah.
But he played FIFA with us. So he found a way to, and we crushed him 8-1, 9-1. That's not a soccer score. That's a different sports score. But we crushed him, and he still played with us. So I think and I think there's a lot of parents doing this, but when it
Yep.
comes to video games, you don't need to be an expert. I think you just need to try. And I don't even think you need to try hard. You got to spend a
Mhm.
little bit of time and do something. I read an article, it was a Lifeway article that someone put out on how to deal with a gamer student of some sort. Don't put them
Mhm.
down for playing video games. Call
Mm.
them up. I
Mm.
don't know why, but so many times playing video games ends up being like the one way that I can make fun of a student. What damage are we actually causing when we
Yeah.
do that? Oh,
Yeah.
gamer kids, right? It's like the homeschool kids, right? You
Yes.
could do that with homeschool kids as
It's
well.
low hanging
So
fruit for some. Yeah.
it's low hanging fruit. Thank you.
Mm.
So it's like, no, don't take that low hanging fruit at all,
Right.
right?
Right.
You're funnier than that. Be a little
Yep.
bit more clever. No,
Yep.
but really, so I think video games have become that, and I think that they when you try even a little bit and show some intentionality, you're going to
Yeah.
win over your gamer kids pretty quickly.
That's awesome. All right, Jared, share a win. What's something that you've seen God do in and through this ministry? Just kind of give our listeners some hope, maybe perspective, even to counteract that low hanging fruit you were talking about.
Yeah, I think no need to get the exact quote. I think one of the biggest wins is a comment like this on our YouTube. Isaac says, "I love this stream, and I'm so happy that I found it." Just
Mm.
as simple as that. Another one, he actually lives a little bit further north, drove 3 hours to help us at an event just to meet and hang out. He says to us, VGM, you have impacted my life. Your messages on stream are always so heartwarming. You pulled me closer to God than I already was. Thank you, with a big red heart. We've got a parent who posted something on Instagram and basically saying something similar, like, I found this program, this community a month ago, and my son is all in, and we are so grateful. Our family's better because of Video Game Ministries, right? So from the work that we do, when we get to see those wins from, I can tell you, you got North Florida, you've got Tennessee, Indiana, California,
Mm.
Michigan,
Yeah.
right? I've heard stories from each of these places, and I'm here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. That to
Mm.
me is the most mind-boggling thing.
Yep.
To think that we've been able to have, by the grace of God, an impact on lives that are so randomly
Mhm.
spread out across our country.
Yeah.
So I think that's always a huge win. I'd say another big win is when a church says to us, "Hey, we're ready to lock arms.
Mm.
Let's figure this out. Let's figure out how we can reach gamers for Jesus. Let's make disciples of all gamers. We got your back."
Yep.
That right there means the world to this ministry, because I don't think we exist without churches.
Right.
We seek to serve churches, but we don't exist as a ministry
Mm.
without them. So I'd say those are two wins, and I think even the comments that you made early on, that warmed my heart more than because we don't, like I said, we're confident in what we do, but we don't hear that a whole lot, because who watches our videos, who's a part of our community, kids. And I remember learning that youth ministry or next generation ministry is the most thankless ministry. So thank you for that again.
For sure. For sure. Well, Jared, this has been awesome. You mentioned earlier one of your tiers is just giving resources to churches and to help provide things that would engage the church, like you're talking about. So, share what some of those are. Where can people find that? How do they connect with you? And then we'll talk a little bit about Momentum Youth
Mm.
Conference here.
Yeah, I would say that so much of what we do and how we do it is uh, we can and will contextualize it to different churches and regions. There's so much that there's there's such a different, I mean, goodness, my mom's church in Tennessee, like they're not close to being able to partner with video game ministries yet, like that's a
Right.
time thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that I would say to different churches that are at different points of readiness or what is next.
Mhm.
We do some, I've got a parent resourcing talk that I like to pair with maybe just the start of developing some sort of strategy of using video games for discipleship. Obviously, like I said, our YouTube channel is there. So like, comment, subscribe. No, I hate that. It's I really do,
Yeah.
actually. It's the
Yeah.
worst. But you got to do it. It actually helps,
Yeah.
but I hate it.
Yes.
But check that out. I'm not even saying subscribe yet. Check it out first, right? Just see what we're doing. We're in the process of kind of revamping how we do and what we offer there and how it helps. Even trying to take some popular talking points within the Fortnite community and giving a little bit more of a pastoral spin that ends up being a resource. We did a video.
Mhm.
We did a video on just there's like a whole Star Wars season right now in Fortnite. We did a video on how just use the idea of like, oh, we're all excited, but sometimes that produces anxiety, and talk about anxiety and
Mhm.
how we can deal with that. Um, so those are some ways. I think our YouTube channel is probably our best place. But no, go on our website, click our contact us, like Ashley did, and I think you did today. I look at those every single day, and I usually will get back to you super quickly to try to get something moving. So reach out to
Love
us,
it.
videogameministries.com, contact us, fill something out, give me a quick little this is what we want to do, and I'll probably call you right away.
I love it. Well, bro, you're doing a great job. And it's for all of those reasons and more, your heart and how God's using you, that we're excited to announce that Video Game Ministries and Jared, you yourself, will be at Momentum Youth Conference this summer.
Yes.
We call it the best week of summer, and we're going to have a video game tournament. We're going to have all kinds of fun gaming systems and opportunities for students to connect. And honestly, Jared, I'm excited just because you'll get to be there and engage with our Momentum students. But give a little teaser. What are some of the things that we're going to roll out this summer at Momentum?
Oh, absolutely. So we talked about a few things, and I think what I'm really excited about is there is a from the conversation I had with the Momentum team. There's an effort. There's an emphasis that we want to put. So just know that if you or your students are participating in any of our gaming tournaments, we've got this time slot, right? But that time slot is really just to get to certain moments within the week that are going to be so much bigger. So
Mm,
if you're like in the top four, we're not going to figure out a winner in our normal time slot. We're going to put you on the big stage. We're going to get an audience around you. We're going to create a whole arena environment. We're going to put the pressure on because look, you
there you
might be
go.
good at the game by yourself, but if you're not good in front of people, then you're not good at the game, man. Get the pressure on. No, we're going to have a really, really awesome time. So looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing some of the different places that we can build, and we're looking to partner with the esports at IWU. So hopefully we can get that
Yeah.
going so we can do some more stuff.
Oh, it's awesome, bro. I'm excited. Last thing, Jared, after the week of Momentum Youth Conference, tell the listeners a little bit, even youth pastors who might be listening to this. We're doing something unique. So that Sunday night after youth conference ends on a Saturday night, closing session is Saturday night. Uh, fill us in a little bit about what we're going to try and do that Sunday night. So probably about the time students are getting home and they're pulling out their video games to kind of decompress from the week. We're going to team up with you. And what are we asking them to do?
That's right. Thank you for leading the question that way. I kind of forgot, to be honest. That was that was such an intentional podcast host moment.
There you go.
Jared, I'm going to make sure you get the right answer, and I'm going to help you along the way. So good. So good. So yeah, the big thing, we're going to do something that I don't think we've ever been able to do before. One of the things that I like to do, especially with video games, is take an event, something that's awesome, and keep the party going, call it an after party. So Sunday, when you leave, you've got a mission. Get home as soon as possible, because what we are going to do is host a Momentum Conference attendee only Fortnite tournament. Okay. So I got this thing called a creator code. If you know if you know, you know. If you don't, use code the VG Pastor in the item shop. All right, helps out. No, but we are going to host a private tournament just for you. So we'll see if we can get 100 people. If we get 100 people in there, maybe we'll run 2 tournaments. But it's going to be an awesome time. Make sure that you jump in after that. There'll be prizes and stuff. Don't worry. Don't worry. Always prizes.
So good. So good. Jared, thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. Thank you for helping equip and build God's kingdom. You're doing it through video games, and you're going to partner with us at Momentum Youth Conference. We're thrilled to have you on. Now I feel like I need to say, like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we say that on every episode. No, we don't.
You should.
Bro, thank you.
Pains me.
There you go. VideoGameMinistries.com.
VideoGameMinistries.com. Yep.
Sweet. Go check it out. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us for this episode. We hope you found it to be valuable. And if you did, would you share it with someone else in your network who might enjoy it? Also, would you please go on and subscribe, rate, and review it? That way you don't miss any more, and somebody else will be able to find it too. Also, because we want to be your trusted resource, if you have a question or topic that you would like us to discuss on an upcoming episode, send that to us via email to info@buildmomentum.org, or you can send us a DM on any of our social media platforms. You can find us there at Momentum Ministry Partners. Also, if you need more information on our ministry, be sure to check out our website at buildmomentum.org. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you next time.